Here we are at Eaton Cemetery in Collingdale, Delaware County, Pennsylvania. This is in the outskirts of Philadelphia. This cemetery is the oldest public African American burial ground and black-owned cemetery. This cemetery is the oldest public African American burial ground and black-owned cemetery in the United States. This cemetery is the resting place of many unsung African Americans who lived in Philadelphia. Octavius Cato, Rebecca Cole, Julian Abel, and Marian Anderson. Octavius Cato. For black athletes who dare to speak out, the cost has always been high. Jackie Robinson broke baseball's color line and faced insistent abuse. Muhammad Ali took a stand against an unpopular war and had his heavyweight title stripped from him. Tommy Smith and John Carlos, Kurt Flood, and Colin Kaepernick each confronted racial injustice and faced the consequences. Octavius Cato's role was just as vital like all the others. Octavius Cato, who fought for equality for African Americans, as Daniel Biddle and Murray Durbin wrote in their book Tasting Freedom, Octavius Cato and the Battle for Equality in the Civil War America. Cato was an orator who shared stages with Frederick Douglass, a second baseman on the city's best black baseball team, and an activist who fought in the state capitol on the streets for equal rights. Then, on October 10, 1871, at the age of 32, he ran through Philadelphia to protect black voters from violence. He was met with violence himself, ending the life of one of America's first activist athletes. Cato was born in Charleston, South Carolina in 1839. His father, William, moved his family to Philadelphia, where he hoped his children could achieve a level of equality impossible in the South. He graduated as a valedictorian from the Institute for Colored Youth and became a teacher. When the Civil War began, he organized a company of African American volunteers and rose to the rank of major. After the war, Cato returned to Philadelphia, where he served as the principal of the Colored Youth Institute and worked to desegregate Philadelphia's trolley cars, just as Rosa Parks would desegregate the buses nearly a century later. He also played baseball. He was also the founder, captain, and star of the Pythian team, the best black team in Philadelphia. The team traveled the region playing other black teams. In Washington, it played the Alerts, whose second baseman was Charles Douglas. Douglas' father, Frederick, sat in the stands and watched the game. After a stint running black schools in Washington, he returned to Philadelphia to run the Institute for the Colored Youth. He also continued his fight for black suffrage. He joined Frederick Douglass in giving speeches calling for the ratification of the 15th Amendment, which guaranteed that no citizens could be kept from voting on account of race, color, or previous conditions of servitude. Cato exhorted blacks to register as Republicans because the party had supported the amendment. In 1870, blacks voted for the first time in Philadelphia and elected Republican candidates. In 1870, blacks voted for the first time in Philadelphia and elected Republican candidates. Democrats were determined to keep blacks from voting during the following year's election. White thugs menaced voters outside polls. Dozens were injured. One white man was murdered with a hatchet blow to the skull. When Cato learned that African Americans were being attacked as they attempted to vote, he dismissed class at his school and ran towards the violence. He was confronted by a mob. A scuffle ensued. Cato, unhurt, continued on South Street. He passed Frank Kelly, a white Democratic Party operative who recognized Cato. Kelly raised his pistol. A passerby yelled out a warning to Cato, who began to run. A bullet caught him. Kelly fired again and again. Cato collapsed, dead in the street. Cato's murder became an international story. Mourners waited in line for hours when Cato was laid to rest. The Philadelphia press called him the pride of his race in the city and the ablest and best educator among the colored men reared in Philadelphia. Kelly fled town after Cato's death. He was eventually captured and returned to Philadelphia for trial. Witnesses identified Kelly as the murderer. The Philadelphia Times said the evidence was overwhelming to convict Kelly. An all-white jury exonerated him. In 2017, a statue of Octavius Cato, which became the first memorial in the city honoring an African American. The statue includes the inscription from Cato's writing, "There must come a change," it says, "which shall force upon this nation that the course from which Providence seems wisely to be directing for the mutual benefits of people."
Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and check out more of our content. Feel free to give your feedback and suggestions on who we should do next in the comments. This is Infinitely Productions. We love ya!